Well, it's now time for me to introduce our guest speaker.
Home, really.
She's a homie. So Leah has been with us for 2 years, longer than I have. And she is going to be our assistant, I have to get these terms right, minister. She passes her panels very soon, and so she's already Reverend Leah. And for those who don't know her background, she has worked as a career counselor and using both practical and spiritual tools to help people remove their blocks that keep them from pursuing their passion. She's presently the assistant director of the Alumni Career Services at CU Boulder. And, she's just done a lot, but she's done a lot here. And welcome, Leah. Reverend Leah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So, the topic today we are enough. And I came up with this topic because in August I wrote an article in our newsletter about being gentle with ourselves. And that I was prompted to write that because I was experiencing a moment where I was beating myself up badly. And a dear friend said to me, "Be gentle with yourself." And then as I was thinking about the topic for today and preparing for today's talk, it had more to say, this topic. It had more to say. So, just beginning, as we think about this topic, where does it come from? Where does just to think about judgment, okay? So, when we think we're not enough, it has to do with judgment. Does it not? And as I was thinking about that, where does it begin? I think it starts when we are children with our parents. The first time our parents reprimand us, the first time our parents send us to our room, the first time our parents slap us on our hand. And they have good intentions. They're trying to teach us bad and wrong, yeah. But what is that the child feels the energy of, I've done something wrong. And then we get into maybe preschool, and I get a gold star. I've done something right. But my buddy over here, they got 3 gold stars. Wait a minute. Now, if we have really wise parents, they might sit us down and explain that, right? But in most cases, that doesn't happen. And so again, we file that kind of energy away. Then we get into grade school. There's a reason they call it grade school, because we start getting grades. First time we get an A, I'm perfect, I'm amazing. Oh my gosh, and our parents are in on that. Oh, look how amazing you are, wow. We even get money. I think I got money as a kid when I got A's. And then the first time we get a grade lower than that, for some of us that's a B, or a C, or a D, or an F, right? Some of us I never got less than an A. And I think it's interesting that the first letter of failure is an F. Is when we get that F, we do feel like a failure. For some of us, we get a B and we feel like a failure, or a C, or a D, or whatever that may be, yeah? And then it's further perpetuated by the fundamentalist Christian view in our society that says that there's a bearded man sitting on a throne looking down saying, if you do this, you're going to heaven, and if you do this, you're going to hell, or if you do this, you're sinning. So even if we weren't raised in that environment, it's still part of our culture, right? It's still there, it's still embedded in us. And so then we grow up and we begin to compare ourselves to others. I'm not thin enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not wealthy enough. I'm not spiritual enough. Whatever that may be. And it just goes on. It goes on. And so Sandy, you're going to have to, it's not turning. Thank you, slide helper. So, we could all get PhDs in judgment, could we not? We all know the energy of that. We all know the energy of judging someone else, making someone wrong, or judging ourselves, or the energy of feeling judged by someone. We've all experienced that one, especially when we were kids. Gosh, girls were mean to me. They were so mean. Didn't even know me, right? So we've all experienced that, whether as children or adults. Yeah. I have an example of this whole energy of judgment and self-judgment in my own life. I recently hurt someone very deeply, someone that I'm very close to. And this person is still engaging with me, but they have made it very clear, I haven't fully forgiven you yet. Whew, that's hard to be with. And so I have had to sit with the pain of that and the sorrow of that. And I noticed how I've made myself wrong. I felt guilt. I felt shame. If I could just go back and take that one statement back that I said, take that one action back, and I can't. So it's forced me to sit in the pain of it, wanting desperately for this person to forgive me and realizing it's not about them forgiving me, it's about me forgiving myself. Mm-hmm. And so as I sat with this pain and this sorrow and realizing that truly God still loves me anyway. Regardless of the mistakes I've made, regardless of how I have hurt this other person, that truly the only love that matters is the love of the divine. That in God's eyes I am enough. In God's eyes I am perfect just as I am. And so I found myself sitting in this energy and allowing it to pour into me. Allowing that spark of light that we talk about when we mention up here, that spark of divine light is, yes, contained within each of us. We are connected always to God. And in those moments of judging ourselves harshly, we forget that. We see and focus only on our human self. I'm a bad person. I did this wrong. I made this mistake. I hurt this other person. And if this person would have forgiven me right away, let me off the hook, I would have gone on, oh great, everything's fine. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't have given me the opportunity to then sit with and be with this beautiful essence of God that surrounds me and holds me always. In God's eyes, I've not done anything wrong. And so these experiences are here to help us move into something greater. And we forget that. When we have these experiences that happened yesterday or experiences that happened 30 years ago, we forget that these are opportunities to move us into something greater within ourselves, to connect us deeper within that beautiful light within us, to expand our hearts even deeper, even more, to help us to love ourselves even more. I believe that the reason that we are here on this planet is to expand our love and give our love. That is why we are here. We think we're here, we have jobs, and we have families, and we have all these things that are going on in our lives, and I don't mean to dismiss all of that and say that they're not important to us. Of course they are. But every single day, we have an opportunity to expand our love, to move into that greater space of love even more. And when we are beating ourselves up for something that we've done wrong, yeah, that's a fantastic opportunity in which to do that. So every experience moves us back to love, if we allow it, if we're open to that. We say that we are this spark of light, that we are, and what we're also saying is that we're one with Spirit. We are one with that divine force. But what does that mean, really? So when you think about a drop of water is connected to the larger ocean, the whole ocean. So imagine that. And we are part of the larger whole that God is. That is who we are. And we can never be disconnected from that, ever. Ever. We are loved so profoundly and so deeply. More loved than there are no words to even describe the love that God has for us. And so in these moments when I was feeling so sad and beating myself up for hurting this person and wishing I could take it back, when I stopped for a moment and really felt into the love that God is and the love that is within me and the love that God has for me, it was profound. Suddenly nothing else mattered. It didn't matter that this person was still mad at me. It didn't matter that I hurt them. It didn't matter. None of it mattered. All that mattered was God's love. So I want you to think for a moment, someone in your life that you deeply love. Could be a pet or a person. But I want you to just let yourself feel the love that you have for this being. Just let it fill you up. Fill your chest, let it expand. Just feel it, let your whole being really feel this love. Some of you are smiling as you're thinking about this profound love that is within you, as you feel this energy of love that you have for this beautiful being in your life. This is God's love. Did you have to work hard to think about it? Did you have to work hard to feel that love within you? You didn't have to force it. You didn't have to work hard to fill you up with it. It just happens. It just flows. That's God's love. And so imagine feeling that love as you think about your own life. As you think about mistakes that you've made. As you think about things that you've done in your life, whether recent or in the past, that you just haven't fully forgiven yourself for. Things you wish you would have said or things you wish you would have done. And what if, instead of blaming yourself, instead of making yourself wrong for those things, instead of wishing you would have done something different, what if you just loved yourself the way God does? The way that what you just experienced, the love that you were feeling for this other being, what if you sent that to yourself? How many of you have altars at home? Sacred altars, things that maybe you sit in front of and you meditate, and yeah, it's part of your practice. What if you took a picture or a photo of yourself and put that on your altar? Yeah? We don't think about that. You know, we think that we'll put a picture that represents some guru or some divine being as if they are better than us. You know, if you study the teachings of Jesus, there's a wonderful thing called Course in Miracles. Has anyone ever done that? Yeah. It's the channeled teachings of Jesus. It's the truth about Jesus. And if you were to actually study it, what you find is that Jesus says, What I have done, you can do and more. I am not unique. I am not someone to be looked up to because I am your equal. That is who I am. But we have grown up in a culture that says God is up there, separate from us. Jesus is up there, separate from us, better than us, and we're down here. And that is not the truth. There is no such thing as heaven and hell. It is merely a concept. There is no such thing as sin. Sin actually means, the real definition of sin means separation from God. That's what it means. In our teachings, we look at the Bible metaphysically, so we don't take it word for word. We go underneath and look at the deeper meaning of it, and it is so rich when you do that. But we are part of a culture that tends to take it word for word. And there's much more there that is said if you are willing to go beneath. Because Jesus was all about, let's just love each other. Just be that beautiful space of love. That is who we are anyway. And we're here to shine that. We're here to express that. God never questions our enoughness. God never says, you better change that hairstyle. You need to lose some weight. Yeah. And then I'll love you. But we do that. Oh, I need to meditate more. I need to come to church more. I need to listen to more spiritual music. I need to change my attitude. I need to do all these things, and then I'll be okay. Just like when we're kids, if I do this, I'll get 3 gold stars. So noticing how often that comes, where you feel like I should do something. The word should, that's another word in our culture that is so prevalent. Yeah. But in God's eyes, there are no shoulds. We are absolutely perfect as we are divine beings, perfect and whole, just as we are. I think it's interesting too that we tend to go to others to be validated for who we are. I don't know about any of you, but this is something that I do. We look to others to validate us, to make us feel that we're accepted, to make us feel that we are loved, or that we're doing the right thing, or that we're good people. Mark Nepo, some of you know him, he's written some beautiful books, spiritual teacher and author. And he talks about his own addiction to validation. Yeah, and I thought, well, I got that going on too. Right? Anyone else? Yeah. I mean, it is part of the human condition. It's hard not to. Yeah? And yet, what if we, like I did in that moment when I was realizing that, truly I have not done anything wrong. Yes, this person is hurt by something I said and something I did, but truthfully, in the eyes of God, have I done anything wrong? And looking to Him for validation, please tell me I'm okay so that I can feel okay. And so there's nothing that we have to do to deserve God's love. Nothing. Nothing that we have to do or be. Change slide, Sandy. I love this. I am beautiful because God made me in His image. Enough said. Yeah. Yeah, enough said. But we separate ourselves. The moment we judge ourselves, we separate ourselves. The moment we think we've done something wrong, we separate ourselves from God. The moment we think a negative thought, we separate ourselves from God. The moment we make someone else wrong, we separate ourselves from God. We are never separate. And if you tune into that energy and really allow that to flood your being and fill you up, it's quite extraordinary. Enough said. Yeah. And so I want you to, next slide, Sandy. Next slide. Okay. So I want you to repeat this affirmation after me. I am an amazing and beautiful expression of the divine.
I am an amazing and beautiful expression of the divine.
I am perfect just as I am and loved beyond measure.
I am perfect just as I am and loved beyond measure.
Excellent. Yeah. And so, being gentle with ourselves, like really being gentle with ourselves, it's not an easy thing to do, and yet it is easy. It's not easy because we live in a culture, in a society where we're constantly tested, and I don't mean tested from the divine, but I mean that things are always coming at us. What was that?
Bombarding.
Yes. The media. You turn on the television. There's a lot that's been happening this last week. Yeah? Yeah. And so how do we remember that in the spite of all that's going on, that we are enough? That we aren't ever separate from God? That no matter what we are witnessing in the greater consciousness, no matter what we are witnessing in our life, that we are that light. That we are absolutely enough. And so, I just invite you in this coming week, when you notice yourself judging yourself for something, making yourself wrong for something, you know those thoughts. We all have them. To let them fall away. To just take a breath and breathe it out. Just breathe them out. And replacing that judgment, replacing that thought, that negative thought, with an affirmation like this. I am an amazing, beautiful expression of the divine. I am perfect just as I am and loved beyond measure. It is something that cannot be measured. It is so big, the love that God has for us. Next slide, Sandy. Next one. So I love this quote. Our humanity is the doorway to the divine. So our day-to-day lives give us access to God, give us access to the divine. Those moments when we are beating ourselves up, those moments when we are feeling less than, those moments that are hard because we're witnessing something on the news that's heartbreaking to us. Our humanity, those moments are the doorway, is the doorway to God, if we're open to that. So practice loving yourself a little bit more this week. Practice being gentle with yourself a little bit more than maybe you did the week before. God created us to go out into the world and shine our light and shine our love. The topic this month is all about abundance. And typically abundance refers to prosperity or wealth, but there is an abundance of love to be shared. And so I just invite you to choose thoughts of abundant love within you to share with the world this week and to share with yourself. So I want you right now to make eye contact with the person sitting next to you. So next slide, Sandy. Next one. And I want you to look at the person next to you and you're going to say this: you are loved just as you are. Beautiful. So I'm going to close with a passage taken from Marianne Williamson in this wonderful book, A Year of Miracles. It's called I Release My Negative Self-Concept. I desire to think of myself as God thinks of me, to know myself as God knows me. I was created, as was everyone, as divinely perfect. My spirit, having been created by God, is perfect. I release any self-concept that fails to appreciate the beauty of God within me. A negative self-perception serves no one, for hiding my own light from my eyes also blinds me to the light in others. I choose to see the light and beauty in everyone, including me. Dear God, may I know myself as your beloved child. May I always remember you created me in holiness and love. This is truly who I am, and so shall I remain. Amen. And so I just invite practitioners to stand in high consciousness as we go into prayer. And so, in this moment, we just give thanks. We give thanks for the loving reminder from God to be gentle with ourselves, to know that we indeed are enough in all that we do and all that we are. And so I'm knowing that as we go out into the week, into the days ahead, I'm knowing that we are reminded that we are never separate from God, that the love that God is who we are, and it surrounds us. It bathes us with this love, and it reminds us to be gentle, to know that we are a child of God, and as such, we are never separate, and we are never alone. And that this love that is within each of us is a guiding light and a guiding force, supporting us and loving us through this journey called life, this human walk. And so I just say thank you, God, for the guidance and the love and the reminders. And I'm knowing that each person here is blessed, is surrounded by this love and this light and held in this consciousness. And knowing the truth that indeed we are all enough.